think we're fine.
So do we just leave?
Yeah. I mean, but yeah.
Cold and flat, and you deserve more than that. Another airplane, another sunny place. I'm lucky, I know, but I wanna go home. I got to go home. Let me go home. I'm just too far from where you are. I wanna come home. And I feel just like I'm living someone else's life. It's like I just stepped outside when everything was going right. And I know just why you could not come along with me. This was not your dream, but you always believed in me. Another winter day has come and gone away in either Paris or Rome, and I wanna go home. Let me go home. And I'm surrounded by a million people. I still feel alone. Let me go home. Oh, I miss you, you know. Let me go home. I've had my run, baby, I'm done. I gotta go home. Let me go home. It'll all be alright. I'll be home tonight. I'm coming back home. Another summer day has come and gone away from Paris or Rome, but I wanna go home. Maybe surrounded by a million people, I still feel all alone. Just wanna go home. Oh, I miss you, you know. And I've been keeping all the letters that I wrote to you, each one a line or two. I'm fine, baby, how are you? Well, I would send them, but I know that it's just not enough. My words were cold and flat, and you deserve more than sunny place. I'm lucky, I know, but I wanna go home. I got to go home. Let me go home. I'm just too far from where you are. I wanna come home. And I feel just like I'm living someone else's life. It's like I just stepped outside when everything was going right. And I know just why you could not come along with me. If this was not your dream, but you always believed in me. Another winter day has come and gone away in either Paris or Rome, and I wanna go home. Let me go home. And I'm surrounded by a million people. I still feel alone. Let me go home. Oh, I miss you, you know. Let me go home. I've had my run, baby, I'm done. I gotta go home. Let me go home. It'll all be alright. I'll be home tonight. I'm coming back home.
If you could move a little bit closer to allow room for everyone else, thank you. And please join us in our anthems.
Oh,
Welcome, everyone. We have some room up here if everyone wants to move in. There's some open room over here on the right. Welcome. We're so happy you're all here. Thank you to cantors Lisa Siegel, Julie Jacobs, and Stefan Texan, who led us so beautifully in our anthems. My name is Jeffrey Scheck, and I am proud to serve as your chair of the Board of Directors of the Greater Miami Jewish Federation. And along with our CEO, Jacob Solomon, I welcome you all. I want to first share a heartfelt thanks to you, the city of Miami Beach, and really all the citizens of Miami Beach, particular Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber and City Manager Jimmy Morales for their efforts. They've really all been amazing and terrific, and thank you. I also want to recognize Sidney Portnoy, Chair of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, for hosting our gathering. A big thank you to the talented musicians of the New World Symphony who welcomed you all as you arrived. Additionally, we are so grateful to our law enforcement partners for their tremendous support of this event and who do so much to safeguard our community and our institutions every day. Thank you all. This interfaith vigil reflects the unity of our Miami-Dade community. And on behalf of Federation, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to our co-sponsors, the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, the Consulate General of Israel in Miami, and the Rabbinical Association of Greater Miami. And our partners, the Anti-Defamation League, represented this evening by Florida Regional Director Shari Tzivi. American Jewish Committee, the AJC, represented by Miami and Broward Regional Office President Jeff Eisenberg and Director Brian Siegel. MCCJ, represented by Board Chair Brian Dervishi and Executive Director Nestor Rodriguez. And of course, again, the City of Miami Beach. Please hold your applause and join me in welcoming and offering a warm welcome to Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Congressman Frederica S. Wilson, Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, City of Aventura Mayor Enid Weissman, Village of Bal Harbor Mayor Gabriel Groisman, City of Aventura Vice Mayor Gladys Mezrahi, Town of Bay Harbor Islands Mayor Josh Fuller, City of Miami Beach Commissioners Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez, Mickey Steinberg, Mike Gorgora, and Mark Samuelin. Lior Hayat, Consul General of Israel in Miami, who will speak to us later. British Consul General in Miami, Nicolette Brent. German Consul General in Miami, Annette Klein. Miami-Dade Public Schools Superintendent, Alberto Carvalho. Florida International University President, Mark Rosenberg. The Miami Dolphins executives, Marcus Bach-Armas and Jason Jenkins, as well as other elected officials, candidates at the federal, state, and local level who I may not see in the crowd, but who are here with us this evening. I can't tell you how much it means to have all of you here. We join together tonight grief-stricken at the senseless and brutal attack on our brothers and sisters from the Tree of Life Or L'Simcha congregation in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We join together tonight to send our refuah shlema to all those who were wounded and mourn with the families and friends of the victims who were killed. We join together tonight to condemn anti-Semitism and hate in any form, to stand against the voices of intolerance and prejudice, against the deeds of racism and bigotry. And we join together in strength as one community, side by side, to reaffirm our commitment to the ideals of peace, kindness, and unity, to lean on each other, to find comfort and solace, and to begin to heal. As we are resolute to stand in the face of hate, let us look toward a more hopeful future. Let us honor the spirits of the victims killed while worshiping on Shabbat. They were mothers and fathers, grandparents and siblings, friends and neighbors, those slain were the beating heart of Tree of Life. They were Joyce Feinberg, 75 years old, an intellectual and academic who is known as a mentor and surrogate mother to her students. Dr. Richard Godfrey, 65, a dentist by trade, he volunteered his services to those who were uninsured at the Catholic Charities free dental clinic. Rose Mallinger, 97, was the oldest victim, yet her age never stopped her from attending weekly services at the Tree of Life. Spry and quick-witted, she was often seen walking in the neighborhood, stopping to chat with friends at the grocery store. Dr. Jerry Rabinowitz, 66, a primary care physician who with his signature bow tie earned a reputation for faithfully tending to the needs of his patients, family, and friends. Even in his final moments, he ran outside, dodging a barrage of bullets to help the wounded. Considered by congregants as welcome ambassadors, brothers David and Cecil Rosenthal, 54 and 59, always sat in the back of the temple and greeted people as they came into worship. The duo had developmental disabilities and often spent their days at the nearby Jewish Community Center. You can feel what is good in the world when you talk to them, because they only talk to you about good things, said a fellow worshiper. 62 years ago, Bernice Simon, 84, and Sylvan Simon, 88, exchanged their vows at the Tree of Life and remained a devoted presence there ever since. Sylvan loved chatting with friends and sharing jokes. Together, they were an inseparable couple, known for walking hand in hand around town. Daniel Stein, 71, was a simple man who loved his faith and family above all else. A loving husband, father, and most recently grandfather, a role he embraced and cherished. Melvin Wax, 88, was at synagogue every Friday and Saturday, the first to arrive and the last to leave. He took on so many tasks, from chanting the Torah to changing the light bulbs. Irving Younger, 69, was a familiar face at Temple, often doing the jobs nobody wanted. When people came into Tree of Life for services, Irv made sure everyone felt comfortable and welcomed. He didn't know a stranger. Everyone to him was a friend. Each of these individuals represented the good in humanity, embraced life, and were the guardians of faith. They are a reminder to all of us that life is so precious and nothing is promised. May their memory be a blessing. Now, it is my privilege to call up Norman Brayman, the founding chair of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, past president of the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, and a great community leader.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We live in incredibly difficult times. All we have to do is turn around and look at the group of policemen on top of the building, the SWAT team, making sure that everyone here doesn't have to worry about the type of consequences we saw in Pittsburgh. And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, there is an alarming rise in hate here in the United States. White nationalists wielding torches and marching in Charlottesville, repeating and emulating Nazi slogans. A white gunman opening fire during a prayer service at a historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina. The early morning bombing of a mosque just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And now, an anti-Semite entering a synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with an assault rifle on a quiet Sabbath morning, killing 11 Jews. The largest assault against Jews in the history of the United States, and murdered only for the crime of their religion. This is truly what hate looks like in America today. My friends, there is simply no place for hate, not here, not anywhere, and furthermore, there are absolutely no good people who stand on the side of hate, period. Every time something like this happens, there are those solemn moments where we gather, pray, reflect, and even cry. But I ask you, what are we really doing about this problem? It is estimated there are close to 1,000 hate groups currently operating in the United States. Let me repeat, close to 1,000 organized hate groups. These are not just groups whose targets are Jews. They are groups whose mission is to spew hate, which inevitably knows no boundaries. The Anti-Defamation League has reported the number of anti-Semitic incidents in the United States rose almost 60% in 2017, the largest single-year increase on record. So after these gatherings, where we grieve and then continue to go about our daily lives, most forget the current tragedy until regrettably the next one occurs. We all want to live in a world where there is no next time. We all want our children to live in a world where there is no next time. And we all want our grandchildren and great-grandchildren to live in a world where there is no next time. As we stand here tonight, we are sending a message loud and clear to those who must listen. Enough is enough. Here in the shadow of the Holocaust Memorial, the great reminder of just how evil hate can become. In fact, we are just 10 days away from commemorating the 80th anniversary of Kristallnacht, the beginning of the Holocaust, and a night of unrivaled hate that unleashed the forces of evil in Europe. As Jews in America, we want to believe that that kind of hate can't happen here. Our ancestors wanted to believe the very same thing during the early 1930s in both Poland and Germany and in so many other places they once called home. The lesson is that unbridled hate against any group is both contagious and dangerous. It cannot and must not be allowed to continue, not here, not anywhere, not anymore, and never, never again. As people who care about our nation and our values, how do we respond besides talking and showing up at events like these? I ask each of you to think about the answer and then vow to do whatever it takes as citizens, as a community, and as a country to stand strong against hate and stand strong against anti-Semitism, whether it comes from the right or comes from the left. People are fed up with this plague of hateful violence in our nation. The fact that we live in a moment when even the New York Times publishes a column called This Week in Hate, where it tracked hate crimes and harassment around the country, should be appalling to all of us. And yet, it is the new normal. What has happened to our beloved country and the world? We also must hold social media more responsible for disseminating so much hate through their platforms. It is inconceivable that you can read on social media that Jews were responsible for the attack on the United States on September the 11th, 2001. If social media does not assume responsibility for disseminating such hate, then we must ask our representatives in Washington to hold them responsible, revoking the protections they have against litigation. Yes, my friends, freedom of speech, but not freedom to hate. We also desperately need more leaders, like Ambassador Nikki Haley, who, when governor of the state of South Carolina, made a clear statement for all to see, ordering the removal of the Confederate flag from its state capitol building after the horrific bombings of the African American church in Charleston, South Carolina. We need more Nikki Haleys in our government. The Pittsburgh shooter yelled, "All Jews must die." We could have easily heard, "All blacks must die," or "All gays must die," or "All Muslims must die," or "All immigrants must die," or "All Christians must die." Any group, any one of us, at any moment, who will be next on the list of hate? History has demonstrated over and over again that starts with the Jews, doesn't end with the Jews. Ladies and gentlemen, elected officials, spiritual leaders, and all people of goodwill, I ask you this: is Pittsburgh the canary in the coal mine? I pray not, and so do each of you. Hate in our country is manifesting itself in the most horrific ways. Here in this sacred place, which memorializes 6 million Jews who, like the 11 Pittsburgh Jews, died only for the crime of being Jewish. Let memory serve as a lesson to all of what can happen when hate is allowed to prevail. Our first president of the United States, George Washington, in a letter he wrote after a visit to the Hebrew congregation, Mikveh Israel, of Newport, Rhode Island, in 1790, concluded his letter by saying, "May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree. There shall be none to make him afraid. May the Father of all mercies scatter light and not darkness in our paths, and make us all in our several vocations useful here, and in his own due time and way everlastingly happy." This is what George Washington wished for the Jewish people in 1790. My friends, may the memory of 11 men and women who were senselessly murdered at the Tree of Life Synagogue forever inspire us to fight hatred wherever it exists. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Wow, Norman, thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, it now gives me great honor to welcome a good friend of ours, City of Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber. As I said before, the city has been truly wonderful in assisting us on this event. We are so grateful for their partnership and their support.
Thank you, Mr. Brayman. Mr. Brayman, I don't know that our community could ever express the gratitude for your moral leadership in every way. I know personally, but I think this whole community owes you such an amazing debt. And I know you don't think that, but that's what makes you so special. I want to first begin by 11 souls were taken away in Pittsburgh, 11 Jewish souls. But also something we should remember is that police officers ran in to help them. First responders were available to help them. Some of those police were actually injured and then returned to help them. So I would like to, on behalf of my city commission, on behalf of my city manager, I would like to thank those police officers, those first responders, our Chief Dan Oates, our Fire Chief Virgil Fernandez, and all of the police that are here. Thank you for putting yourselves in peril to protect our community. Hate lives, and we need police who are willing to stand up and firefighters willing. We also have Catherine Fernandez-Rundle is here, and the new U.S. Attorney, Ariana Farhado-Orshan, is here. The new U.S. Attorney got in to office, appointed, and within days was already investigating this pipe bomber from our own community, Aventura. Thank you very much for your leadership. We caught that person fast. We need brave and smart people willing to wake up every day to secure our communities. You know, I think it was, well, I know who it was because I read everything he's ever written. Elie Wiesel is the reason we have this beautiful structure. He was the recorder of the Holocaust. He was a member of our community in so many ways, spending so much time here. And he said something, I went and I read through some of his works a few days ago just to remind myself, because there's no one who understood hate more than Elie Wiesel. One of his quotes I want to tell you: wherever men and women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. Today, Pittsburgh is the center of the universe, and we are the center of the universe because we are standing up against hate. Where we are, so you know, there are two lots that the Holocaust Memorial is plaid upon: 1933 Meridian Avenue and 1945 Meridian Avenue. Those were literally the addresses when we gave the Holocaust Memorial to the committee to build this important structure. 1933 was the beginning of the Nazi reign, and 1945 was the end. And that was just coincidental, my friends. It was beshert. It was. And this is a sacred place in our city. This is a sacred place not simply because it is a memorial to the horrible, heinous crimes of the past, but it is a reminder to us every day that hate exists. Hate exists here and elsewhere, and we must always stand up to it. And I apologize to the New World Symphony guests who heard this the other night when I spoke, but I have to tell you a story about this memorial and our city. In 1993, a group of neo-Nazis decided that they want to have a rally at our Holocaust Memorial. They petitioned the court under the First Amendment. The court said, you've got to go over to about 100 yards away. How many of you were there? We have some people that were there, of course, because what happened is these 5 or 6 hate mongers, they got their little podium, they went right over there, and they got their bullhorn, and they started to just scream the worst, most disgusting things you could imagine anybody ever would scream. I was there. I was a deputy U.S. attorney, and they had sent a law enforcement contingent right on the other side of the memorial. And it was local and state and federal police. And we were there not because we were worried about these 5 or 6 neo-Nazis screaming the stupid, racist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic things they were screaming. But what had happened is on Dade Boulevard, a group of counter-protesters had assembled. Close to 5,000 counter-protesters had assembled. And they were Jews and Gentiles, they were African Americans, they were Cubans, they were Honduran, they were gays, they were straights, they were the entire community, close to 5,000 lined Dade Boulevard. And they were screaming back at these idiots. And some of them were Holocaust survivors, and they were holding up their arms with their numbers on them, screaming at them, angry, upset, as they had every right to be. And then Rabbi Solomon Shipp did something a little extraordinary. He started to sing, and he sang the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva. And then all of a sudden, all the other Jews who know the song started to sing it. And even the non-Jews were able to go along, because if you know, it's got a beautiful melody, and once you say it once, it's easy to follow. And all of a sudden, close to 5,000 people were singing the Jewish national anthem at these protesters across over there, these 5 or 6 idiots. And in unison, they drowned out this terrible hate speak. And for those of you that don't know what the Hatikva means, Hatikva translated is the hope. And I loved that moment, because while this group was defiling the memory of this terrible, this important place, a group of people were overwhelming them with hope. And that is what we must do. Because the truth is, evil exists when hope doesn't. And it is our responsibility to stand up and speak the hope and speak the love. You have every right to be angry about what happened in Pittsburgh, every right. You should be angry, you should be upset, you should be bewildered, you should be confused, and you should want to lash out. But the truth of the matter, telling the world that we are proud, telling them that we are united, telling them that we stand for hope, Hatikva, will do far more than anything else, because that is how you move hope, that is how you move hate out. We are stronger than hate. Hope is stronger than hate. Together, we are stronger than hate.
Thank you, Mayor Gelber. Please help me welcome Rabbi Ariel Yeshurun of Skylake Synagogue, North Miami Beach, and President of the Rabbinical Association of Greater Miami.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Saturday, October 27th, is a day which will forever live in infamy. We gather here this evening to stand in solidarity with the Jewish community in Pittsburgh, to mourn the victims and to pray for the speedy recovery of the injured. These innocent lives were lost in one of the most horrific anti-Semitic crimes in the United States in recent history. The thought that someone can harbor so much hate and resentment is inexplicable. This was a heinous crime, an evil act committed against worshipers who stood in prayer, celebrating a Brit Milah, a circumcision, introducing a baby into the covenant of Abraham. At a circumcision, we recite twice the words, Va'omar lach bedamaich chayi, Va'omar lach bedamai chayi. And I said to you, through your blood shall you live. How so devastating that these very words were brought to bear in such a horrifically literal sense. But my dear friends, these words recited at a Jewish circumcision also indicate a covenant we share with our brothers and sisters. A covenant that demanded and demands a tremendous sacrifice. Sacrifices we have made throughout history in our relentless and unwavering commitment to safeguard our heritage and our Jewish identity. We suffered crusades, inquisition, pogroms, and Holocaust. We were shoved into cattle cars, walked into gas chambers, and were ethnically cleansed by extermination and final solutions. Our nation is an old nation. Our people are an ancient people. We've seen it all. We've overcome it all. And now we are what we've always been, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no slowing of our energies, and no dulling of our alert. All these attempts will fall and fail, and we will remain. Our torch will burn bright through the anti-Semitic nights of our exile, and we will emerge stronger and more vigilant than ever. This new tidal wave of hatred and animosity directed against Jews is on the rise in the United States. And what's even more troubling is that one of the greatest dangers nowadays is internet exposure to websites spewing hatred and being responsible for the radicalization of their online audiences. This individual who committed this terrible crime was part of an online neo-Nazi group where he was desensitized and indoctrinated to the tipping point, being empowered and encouraged to murder Jews. We all hoped this day will never come, but it has. This is a wake-up call. We must be vigilant and delve deeper into the evolving phenomenon of Jew hatred and intolerance in this country. If we want to be safe, we have to first learn to recognize, face, and admit that the problem is real and it's here on our shores. A war we wanted to believe was raging only in Europe and in the Middle East is now in our backyard. We can no longer be complacent about this issue. We must confront it as a community and as a nation. I know that to us, such hate is incomprehensible, but it exists. The place we are standing in attests to the fact that evil and wickedness are real and present, and we must come to terms with it. We need to talk to law enforcement officers and hold meetings in our synagogues and schools. We need to raise awareness and search for better ways to protect our Jewish institutions. And we need to educate people about the origins and dangers of anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred and bigotry. But ladies and gentlemen, today we have Medinat Yisrael, we have the state of Israel, an island of light and hope in a sea of hostility, a beacon and an outpost of democracy and liberty. Today, Jews express their inherent human right for self-determination and freedom. Let us not despair. Let us not lose hope and lose sight of the great mission of Tikkun Olam. Let us hold on to the words of King David, though I walk in the valley overshadowed by death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Let us be strong. Let us be committed. Let us be united. Together we stand and proudly declare, I am a Jew.
שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים.
כולם ביחד.
שבט אחים גם יחד,
We are stronger than hate.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד.
Thank you, cantors. It is now my great privilege to introduce four highly dedicated leaders in our community. Reverend Priscilla Feliski Whitehead, Shabir Motorwala, Father Patrick O'Neill, and Reuben Roberts. One of the things that makes Miami such a special community is the way we all work together, regardless of background. On behalf of the Jewish community, I want to express our deep appreciation for the outpouring of love and support we have received from so many of our friends. Reverend Whitehead served as associate minister at the Church by the Sea, the United Church of Christ in Bal Harbour, for more than 21 years and serves as MCCJ's Vice President of Public Policy. Shabir Morawalla is a founding member of Cosmos, the coalition of South Florida Muslim organizations. He's also chairman of Muslim Communities Association of South Florida. Father Patrick O'Neill is director of the Archdiocese Office of Ecumenical and Interfaith Relations, founder of Miami's Region's Institute for Pastoral Ministries, and serves on the board of MCCJ. Reuben Roberts is the president of Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP. He is a noted activist who focuses on strong family, communities, and civic engagements. Please join me on welcoming them all to the stage.
As has been said, a heinous act of violence in a far-off Pittsburgh synagogue nonetheless brings me, a Christian, here to this place of remembrance of 6 million sadly similar acts of violence, because such tragedies cut to my heart too. My Jewish brothers and sisters in faith are suffering yet again. And I cry out, as did our forebears in faith in the scriptures we share, how long, O Lord? How long will hate endure? How long until there is relief? How long until we find again the joy of your presence without worrying who's outside the door? We echo the psalmist in our yearning, oh, that we might see some good. But then I wonder if God, in the midst of heaven's tears, also may be asking some how long questions. How long until we humans learn to respect, accept, celebrate the beauty and diversity of all of creation, of all people who on this earth do dwell, sharing life together? And how long until we fully realize that today God has no hands or feet or minds and mouths and hearts to use but ours? How long until all people seek healing and wholeness for all? In the last chapter of the last book of the Christian scriptures, the Revelation to John, he envisions a new heaven and a new earth with God present right in the midst of mortals. And his dream sees the river of the water of life flowing from God, on either side of which is, quote, the tree of life, and the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. And I thought of those words as I reflected on the faithful Jews in Pittsburgh who so delighted in God's law that, as was their custom and their joy, they were in their house of worship and study together, rather than engaging in various activities out in the world such as others do, even on the Sabbath. The very first psalm describes people such as they as being like fruitful trees planted by streams of water. Sadly, 11 leaves from those fruitful trees were torn off, violently and out of season, from their beautifully and aptly named Tree of Life Synagogue. And so we grieve. And I believe God grieves with us. But as I encourage us to be God's agents of comfort to one another, I would also urge us to be God's agents of change. gardeners, if you will, seeing that those fallen leaves are spread about to fertilize the ground, fostering new growth in vision, faith, honor, love, respect, hope, and acceptance among us and in the dark corners of the world in which we live. I pray that our shared commitment will be inspired by those 11 lives so horrifically taken, so that together we exemplify the way the things can be to those out there who live in such fear of the other. May our hearts be open together to receive God's spirit of grace, courage, wisdom, patience, and endurance, and hope in that often difficult work. And in our solidarity that crosses all lines, may we find renewed hope to continue to face valiantly the challenges of living in these difficult days. And may God bless our efforts as we pray God's blessing on the people of Pittsburgh, the Tree of Life Synagogue and its leaders, and especially the families touched by the loss of their loved ones. They do not grieve alone.
Assalamu alaikum, shalom. I have been attending along with my Muslim friends a couple of vigils, and the question has been asked many times, why you think as a Muslim you have to attend this vigil? My answer is, my faith teaches us that killing one innocent person as if killing the entire humanity. There were 11 innocent people who were murdered because they were practicing faith, Abrahamic faith, which we follow. That's why we have to be here. We grieve with you. We grieve. This can happen to anybody. I remember after 9/11, then when Muslims were under attack, when our mosque in Kendall and Miami Gardens were vandalized, we had the leaders from Jewish community and Christian clergy. So Rabbi Solomon Schiff is one of them, who came to our mosque to stand shoulder to shoulder with us, to give us the hope, to tell us, don't feel you're alone. Don't feel you're forgotten. We are with you. Today, we are here to show we are with you. We are the children of Abraham. We have the same God. I don't care what other people says. It has been said that if we have an armed guard in every synagogue, in every church, in every mosque, this would not happen. Let me tell you something. We don't need the armed guard in the mosque or synagogue or in the church. We need the people like us to stand in front of the mosque, in front of the synagogue, in front of the church, and tell them that these are places of worship. It has to be free of fear. And together we can send a strong message. Hate and bigotry has no place in our society. Thank you. May God bless you all.
Dear friends, we arrive as many families tonight. Some are Hindus, Muslims, Buddhist monks, a variety of Christian traditions, marvelous faith communities, the Jewish temples and synagogues and shoals of South Florida. But at this moment, we're no longer many families, but one family together, God's family. I bring you the prayers, the support, the care, the love of the 2 million Catholics of the Catholic Archdiocese of Miami. We love you and we cherish you. Today, I rarely see television, but I was waiting to greet someone at Jackson, and I saw a little girl on the television with her mother. The little girl was saying as she was crying, a little 3 or 4-year-old, "Where is God with so many people suffering?" And her mother kindly and wisely took her over to the television and said, "Look at these people in Squirrel Hill and Tree of Life Synagogue. Look how they're hugging one another. Look how they're loving one another.
praying together and caring for one another. She said to the little girl, "This is how God is on the journey with us." Dear family, one family, I pray that God continues to fill your hearts with his unlimited love. He blesses you with his peace and surrounds you with his joy. And that together, one family, God's family, very determined that we will overcome hate and violence. There'll be no place for it in God's path or God's family. We love you. God bless you.
Good evening. On behalf of the Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP, I come before you today to say that we stand in solidarity with the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, Jewish people, against anti-Semitism and racial hatred and discrimination worldwide. I'm here today to speak against hatred of any kind, and to speak for love. Hatred has caused many problems, but I've never seen anyone with hate in their heart solve any problems that we've had. So I think it's love that we have that we need to really promote. As I stand here with folks of interfaiths, different faiths, and when I look out at the sea of people, I see that we outnumber those who harbor hate in their heart. I see that we can be victorious against this hatred if we stand together in solidarity, if we speak up against things that we see on a daily basis. So I want to make sure that I give a charge to all of you before I leave today. I saw on the news where they spoke about the gentleman that mailed the pipe bombs. His former employer said his ideas and beliefs were kind of radical, but I never thought he would do something so heinous. We have two congresswomen here today with us who could have easily been involved. One, in fact, I think the pipe bombs had to return her return address. But easily, this could have been a more heinous week for us as a result of that. So what I want to charge all of you to do is, if you are in the presence of someone that is speaking or acting in a way where they're holding racial or ethnic animus towards any group, stand against it in the presence of those people. Stand against it in the presence of those people. Why do I say this? Our silence sometimes gives consent. And those other forces out there that are really helping to promote it, their voices are louder than our voices saying, this is not right. We don't approve of it. And sometimes that's something that someone needs to hear who's not sure. A young teenager who's not sure about what their position is about racial differences or ethnic differences. So we need to be that voice to stand up and say, that is not right. We don't stand for that. Finally, I want to say to you that love is greater than hate. How many of you all believe that today? How many of you all believe that love is greater than hate? It's the love that I feel from you coming in that audience that's coming on this stage right now. The love for those folks who lost their lives. Not only the folks in the synagogue, but you had two other African Americans that lost their life in Kentucky, where the assailant tried to go into a church, could not gain access to the church, and went to a grocery store and killed them. This is not new to African Americans and Jews. We've experienced this historically, but love again conquers all. You know, I'm saddened that places of worship now are a suspect for criminal activity in terms of violence. I remember when places of worship were sacred. No one would ever think to carry a gun or to create any type of harm in a place of worship. An 80 or 90-year-old person should not be blessed to live those many years, and in their twilight years, have their lives taken from them in such a heinous way. So, again, and if you guys don't mind repeating with me, I want you to say, hate is stronger than love. I mean, love is stronger than hate. Sorry. Sorry, I just lost it. I was just checking to see if you were paying attention. Okay, say it with me. Love is stronger than hate. Thank you.
All the world is a narrow bridge, but the main thing is to have no fear.
To introduce a wonderful friend to our community, the Honorable Lior Hayat, Consul General of Israel in Miami.
Shalom, everyone. Before I start, I have to say I'm honored to be in the same stage where person like Norman Birdman just spoke in his speech is still echoing in my head. And I'm blessed to know this person and hear about him, and I think that we should all look back and what he said and memorize parts of it. This murder of 11 Jews in a synagogue, the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, is the worst anti-Semitic crime in the history of the US. And the victims are not only those 11 Jews. In a way, we are all the victims of this terror attack. In the name of the State of Israel, I want to pass a message of unity with the Jewish community in Pittsburgh, with the Jewish community in the entire US. We are with you in pain and in sadness. We are one people, and the pain is one. Anywhere around the world where a Jew is murdered from the only reason of being a Jew, we have to remember that this is exactly the reason the State of Israel was established as a Jewish homeland. Our answer to hate is unity. Our answer to anti-Semitism is education. Only through education we could fight anti-Semitism that is growing on ignorance, racism, and hate. In the last few years, we see a rise in the number of anti-Semitic acts around the world. As any kind of racism, this is not just against the Jews. Anti-Semitism is a threat to any democracy. I ask you, hundreds of people, thousands of people that came here together, actually kind of a shiva of the Jewish tradition, make all of us stronger. I ask you to raise your voice and to say no more. No more racism. No more anti-Semitism. All of us together should put a stop and an end to anti-Semitism. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Consul General. Please help me welcome Rabbi Gail Pomerantz, Senior Rabbi at Temple Beth Shalom, Miami Beach, who will lead us in prayer.
So as we heard, love conquers hate and light conquers darkness. So many of you have candles in your hand. We invite you to light those candles and lift them high. And if you don't have a candle, you can use your cell phone and hold up those candles and hold up those lights. Beautiful. And as you do that, we are going to responsively recite this beautiful prayer written by Rabbi Naomi Levy, and you have it on your handouts. We are devastated, God. Our hearts are breaking in this time of shock and mourning. Together, we remember Melvin Wax. The loss is overwhelming. Send comfort and strength, God, to grieving family members. We remember Joyce Feinberg. Send healing to the injured. Send strength and wisdom to their doctors and nurses. Bless the courageous police officers who risk their lives to protect innocent lives. Shield us from despair, God. Ease our pain. Let our tears give way to hope. Lead us to join together as a nation to put an end to anti-Semitism, an end to hatred, an end to gun violence. Teach us, God, to honor the souls we have lost by raising our hands and voices together in the cause of peace. Because Torah is a tree of life and all its paths are peaceful. Work through us, God. Turn our helplessness into action. Teach us to believe that we can rise up from this tragedy and banish the hate that is tearing our world and our nation apart. We must never be indifferent to the plight of any who suffer. We must learn to care, to open our hearts and open our hands. Innocent blood is calling out to us. God of the brokenhearted, God of the living, God of the dead, gather the souls of the victims into your eternal shelter. Together, let them find peace in your presence, God. Their lives have ended, but their lights can never be extinguished. May they shine on us always and illumine our way. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Pomerantz, for guiding us in this special prayer. I'd now like to welcome Rabbi Donald Bixson of Beth Israel Congregation, Miami Beach, and Rabbi Solomon Schiff, past chair of the Holocaust Memorial, Miami Beach, to the stage.
Please join me as we recite the handout responsibly. Shir HaMalos Mimamakim Charasicha Adonai Adonai Shema Bekoli Tienena Aznecha Chashuvos L'Kol Tachnunai Imavonos Tishmor Ya Adonai Miyamod Kimcha Slicha Leman Tivorei Kvisi Adonai Kivso Nafshi Velivro Alchalti Nafshi Adonai Mishoimrim Laboker Shoimrim Laboker Yachel Yisrael El Adonai Kim Adonai Achesed Barbei Mufadus Fuhu Yivda Es Yisrael Michol Avonosov. Out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my cry for mercy. If you, Lord, keep a record of our sins, Lord, who can stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that we can, with reverence, serve you. I wait for the Lord, my whole being waits, and in his word I put hope. I wait for the Lord more than watchmen wait for the morning, more than watchmen wait for the morning. Israel, put your hope in the Lord, for with the Lord is unfailing love, and with him is full redemption. He himself will redeem Israel from all their sins.
Neil Molarachamim, Shochem Bamedromim, Hametzem Nochonochono, Tachas Kanefe Ashkino, Bemalus Kedoshim Betorim, Kezoar Olakim Azirim, Es Nishmos, Achenu Vach Yosenu, Shenehergo, Bemisos Azorios, the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Al Kiddush Hashem. Bravo, Shanach the Mispalalim, Biedalias Ishmosom. Beganei den Tehem and Lachosam Lachem Baladachim Yastirem. The Heseis Kenofov Leolamim. ויצרו בצל החיים אס נשמוסום, אדינוי נחלוסום, וינוחו בשלמה משכובום, ולומר אמן. May the sacred souls of our brothers and sisters brutally murdered in the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May their memories forever inspire us to noble and consecrated living, and let us say, Amen. The Kaddish prayer that we recite for the departed has no reference to death in it. Instead, it is an avowal, a commitment that we make to them, that we will remember them and the lives they lived and what they believed in, and we will lead our lives in a way that will bring pride to their memories and everlasting values to their souls. We now recite the Kaddish. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabo, v'yalmod divroch hirosei, v'yamlich malchusei, v'chayechon uv'yamechon uv'chayei d'chol beis Yisrael, b'agolo v'izman koriv yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabo mevorach, v'yolam ulomei olmayo. Yisborach v'yishtabach v'yisboar v'yisromam v'yisnasei. V'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalo shemei l'kudsho b'richu. L'eil mikol b'choso v'shiroso. Tushb'choso v'nechamoso damira v'olmo v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabo min shemayo. V'chayim oleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromov. Hu yaseh shalom. Oleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Bixon and Rabbi Schiff. I do want to take a moment here to thank Bonnie Ryder, Carol Brick-Turin, their amazing departments, and all of their colleagues at Federation for putting this on tonight, such short order, and doing such an amazing job. Thank you all. Before we close our program tonight, together as one community in song, I want to thank you all again for being here. I want to invite the candors back up. Again, thank you all.
Join together in a song of unity, this beautiful hymnal. Let's sing together, We Shall Overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I
במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. אמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי, עם ישראל, עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי. עם ישראל, עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי, עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי. עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו חי. עם ישראל, עם ישראל, עם ישראל 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 חי. עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו חי. עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו חי. עם ישראל הווה, נגילה הווה,
נגילה ונשמחה,
הווה, נגילה הווה,
נגילה הווה,
נגילה ונשמחה, הווה נרננה, הווה נרננה, הווה נרננה ונשמחה, הווה נרננה, הווה נרננה, הווה נרננה ונשמחה. ורוחים בלב שמח, ורוחים בלב שמח, ורוחים בלב שמח, ורוחים בלב שמח, ורוחים